Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. General Hospital preview: will Willow and Drew say I do on their wedding day? The wedding that only the bride and husband desire is finally here. Yes, General Hospital is hosting Willow and Drew's wedding week. The happy couple won't be taking their vows or even be a couple by the end of the week if everything goes as the most recent teaser suggests. However, how and by whom will the wedding be stopped? Portia tells Willow that she doesn't know who her fiancé is, saying she's decided it's time to regain her authority and refuse to be blackmailed by Drew any longer. However, it doesn't seem like Portia has the opportunity to tell Nurse Corinthos the truth because this is how the commercial starts and they are at the hospital. Could Curtis prevent her from disclosing everything? After all, if there is another way to put Drew in his place, he doesn't want to watch his wife lose her license and wind up in Tentonville. Even if it means betraying a buddy, Curtis says he will fight to save her. He is aware that Nina had an affair with the congressman while she was employed there. Since Willow and Drew have, let's face it, alienated the majority of Port Charles, few people show up at the church on the big day. The wedding is presided over by Lucy, and Scout is a cute flower girl. Will Curtis actually betray Nina and ruin her and Willow's relationship when he interrupts Willow as she gets about to go down the aisle? Or will it be Nina, who promises Ava that she cannot allow this to continue, who takes the initiative to explain why Willow and Drew shouldn't be married? Given how many people despise him, it would be easy for someone to shoot Drew as he is standing at the altar. Spoilers for General Hospital: Drew can't beat Liesl. According to General Hospital spoilers, Dr. Liesl Albrecht has returned to Port Charles and is already reading to keep her family safe. In order to keep her niece Willow Tate away from Drew Kane, she has promised Nina Reeves that she will find ammo to use against him. Nobody has been able to defeat Drew thus far. Someone equally crafty and cunning would be needed, and Liesl is the perfect fit. Liesl Albrecht investigates Drew Kane. Liesl is tenacious in her pursuit of her goals. She will defeat Drew if she is committed to doing so. Some of the worst have been targeted by her. Drew won't fare as well against her as Peter August did. Without a doubt, Liesl may find what she needs against Drew. She might discover that he has been using a lot of deceptive tactics to achieve his goals, and Liesl might undoubtedly compile evidence against him. Liesl Albrecht threatens Drew Kane. Liesl is aware that Willow is being influenced by Drew because she has observed changes in her since she left town. She wants their relationship to end because she does not like this at all. Liesl would threaten Drew, telling him that he would have to release Willow or face consequences. Drew would say no, but he doesn't know what he's getting into, and Liesl has warned him. Liesl would warn Drew that he would have to end his relationship with Willow by the wedding or else suffer the repercussions. Liesl Albrecht kidnaps Drew Kane on the day of Drew and Willow's wedding. Liesl informs Drew that their time is over. She would use a syringe to inject him, and Drew would fall to the ground because he has now refused to call off the wedding. Willow would be devastated when Liesl kidnapped him and made it appear as though he had missed the wedding. Willow would be utterly bewildered and upset by the development. Until Drew consents to her demands, Liesl would keep him as a hostage, and she would enjoy torturing him in the process. It would be delightful to watch Liesl torture Drew. How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you believe that Drew will lose to Liesl? Will Drew be forced to end his relationship with Willow by Liesl? On the day of his wedding, will she kidnap him? Curtis reveals his secret affair with Nina during Drew and Willow's chaotic wedding. According to General Hospital spoilers, Drew Kane and Willow Tate's wedding is highlighted in the preview video for the week of July 21st to 25th. However, if Curtis Ashford reveals the groom's covert romance with the bride's mother, Nina Reeves, the wedding may not take place. Drew and Willow's wedding won't be an exception to the general rule that weddings in the world of daytime drama never go as planned, as soap opera viewers worldwide are aware. Let's get started. The ABC soap opera recently released its preview trailer for this week, and it seems like another exciting 5 days in Port Charles. The teaser begins with Willow at Portia Robinson's hospital office, where the co-chief of staff furiously informs the nurse that she doesn't know who her fiancé is. The following scene in the GH preview shows Curtis promising Portia in her office that he will battle to defend her, even if it means betraying a friend, as the scenes change. A scene of him walking into Willow's wedding suite as she gets ready for her special day is seen as he says this. A little footage shows Willow looking utterly astonished and Drew looking stern. Will Curtis disclose Nina and Drew's affair to Willow? This appears to be the case. Nina is seen conversing with Ava Jerome as the General Hospital teaser comes to a close. Given that both women are wearing more expensive than typical clothing, it appears to be the wedding day. When Nina tells her best friend that she can no longer tolerate this, she is furious. A scene of the church with all of the wedding guests seated in anticipation of the ceremony is displayed while Nina says this. Ava and Rick Lansing sit in the pew behind Nina, who is seated in the first row with Liesl Albrecht at her side. In the opposite pew, on the groom's side, are Kai Taylor, Martin Gray, and Alexis Davis. Drew is standing next to Lucy Coe, who is at the altar and obviously acting as the couple's officiant for their special day. In the final moments of the teaser, Scout Quartermain is seen heading down the aisle while Drew smiles at his daughter, but Willow is nowhere to be seen. According to General Hospital spoilers, Willow will probably find out about Drew's true identity, call off the wedding, and even become a runaway bride during the week of July 21st to 25th. This could be the moment that most viewers have been waiting for. When it came to her loved ones, Carly Spencer had always worn her emotions like armor, blunt, unyielding, and unchangeable. Jason Morgan was the highest-ranked person on the list. Perhaps the only man who had ever fully comprehended the turbulence that characterized her soul, he was her anchor and constancy. Therefore, Carly felt something tighten in her chest that she would not identify as rumors of Britt Westbourne's return floated through Port Charles, not as a terrible victim of a hook attack, but as a living, breathing issue. Jason had just returned to town and had just put the shaky foundation of family and trust that had crumbled during his absence back together when Britt's homecoming threatened to topple everything once more. Furthermore, Carly wasn't merely dubious if the lady who appeared was, in fact, Britt, whole, living, and hiding secrets. She was prepared for combat. Jason hadn't immediately told Carly. In the Corinthos kitchen, she heard Sonny say it casually, which momentarily stopped her. She only needed the words, Jason's meaning someone from the past, to piece the puzzle together. That night, she cornered Jason. You did see her, did you not? Carly remarked. You saw Britt. Jason took a moment to respond. What she already knew was validated by his silence. She's back, said Carly bluntly. Jason's face was unreadable as he looked up. Complicated, Carly said, folding her arms. Then make it easier for me. Jason didn't. When it came to Britt, he never did. Because Britt had once, long ago, irritated him in a manner that few others had. She had made him grin, cracked his armor, and inspired him to consider possibilities and healing. What about Carly? Carly detested the persistence of that. Carly's lack of faith in Britt wasn't the only factor. She was aware that Britt may still affect Jason in that way. And she was angry about it. The worst thing? She was unsure if Britt was truly Britt. Carly wasn't persuaded, despite Jason's insistence that he believed her, that the DNA matched, and that Liesl herself had verified it. She wasn't alone, either. Carly's doubt was echoed by Lulu Spencer, who was as fiery as ever, walking in awake. After all, Britt had taken her embryo all those years ago. Britt, Rocco's surrogate, was a living example of treachery. Now that she was back, Brooke Lynn said Rocco had contacted Liesl with his own inquiries. Lulu wanted Britt away from her son since she was so protective of him. What about Carly? Not only did Carly agree, but she also promised to support Lulu no matter what. Carly quickly became the dividing line between Britt and Jason. Carly interrupted every minute they spent together, every sign that something had rekindled. She made sure Jason had 100 reasons to question every move Britt made, all under the pretense of loyalty and care. Carly was already at Sonny's gym if Britt showed up. It was Carly who miraculously stopped by to see whether Jason had dinner plans. She reminded herself that she wasn't attempting to undermine Britt. She was keeping Jason safe. She did just that. But she knew the truth in her heart. Carly Spencer felt envious. Not of Britt's tragic past, her attractiveness, or even her relationship with Jason. What Britt might still mean to him made her envious. Carly had never truly let go of the thought that perhaps, just possibly, Jason should be with her even under her righteous rage. In every significant aspect, but not romantically, at least not publicly. Their friendship was established through survival and suffering. That was unmatched by any woman. Perhaps Britt did, though. She was dangerous because of that. Unaware of the internal conflict that was taking place inside Carly, Jack Brennan persisted in constructing a future with her. He made plans, brought flowers, and discussed purchasing a Cape Cod beach house. Carly played the part with a smile, but her heart wasn't in it. Jack observed that her voice changed each time Jason's name was mentioned. Softer. Sharper. More torn. Not just Carly's grip on Jason was under jeopardy because of Britt. Everything Carly had told herself she wanted was in jeopardy. The tension was palpable even to Jason. One day, when they were watching Jocelyn swim laps at the Metro Court pool, he informed her, "You're not subtle. No matter what you're doing, it's not helping." Carly's face grew serious. Carly yelled, "You don't know what she's been through. I'm trying to protect you. I don't need protection from Britt. You just accept that she appears out of the blue with no prior notice or explanation." Jason gave a headshake. "You're not upset with Britt. You're upset that she might be important to me once more." Carly remained silent. The Quartermaine estate was the tipping moment. In the hopes of a quiet, private reunion, Jason had taken Britt there to see Monica. However, Carly arrived without invitation after being tipped off by Ned. With her voice a dagger and her eyes ablaze, she strode in as if she owned the place. "You believe you got away with it because you saved Jocelyn's life?" Carly gave Britt a hiss. "You believe that what you did to Lulu is no longer relevant? How did you treat Rocco?" Britt refused to back down. "I have committed errors." Carly sneered, "But I've also paid for them." Jason moved in between them and said, "Not enough." "Enough, Carly." However, Carly wasn't finished. "Is it not visible to you? She's playing tricks on you." Jason turned to face her once more, his tone colder than she had anticipated. "Don't force me to choose between you and her." Carly was really shaken for the first time in years. Because she was aware that Jason might not choose her if it came to that, if it came down to a choice. Lulu didn't get any kinder. Britt's presence turned Port Charles into a battlefield, even though her homecoming was supposed to be a fresh start. Lulu was driven over the brink by Rocco's unexpected interest in Britt and his determination to write her off as a villain. At General Hospital, she addressed Britt in front of a flustered Jason and a shocked Liesel. "Keep your distance from my son," Lulu snarled. Britt answered, "I didn't ask for any of this." Rocco overheard everything and rushed out, saying, "No, you just stole it." Jason pursued him. Britt and Lulu were still involved in a cold battle that neither of them wanted to stop. To uncover any secrets Britt might still be keeping, Carly had begun working with Tracy Quartermaine, of all people. Ever the opportunist, Tracy was more concerned with leverage than Jason's romantic life. Additionally, Britt's unexpected comeback shouted leverage. They discovered evidence of payments connected to an old WSB account, a fake passport, and remnants of a safe house in Greece. Nothing specific, but enough to raise questions. Enough that Carly, armed with proof, marched into Jason's penthouse. "She misled you," Carly remarked. "She's concealing something significant." Jason gazed at the pictures. Then turned to face Carly. Carly insisted, "I want you to see her. You want me to doubt her." However, Jason had already done so. That night, Britt revealed everything in a private time. The concealment. The terror. Her mother's manipulation. The death fake. Although she wasn't sure if Jason would still desire her, she informed him she wanted to come honest sooner. He declared, "I want the truth. Always." Jason took her back to the Quartermaine estate the following day. However, he didn't recoil when Britt walked in this time. He grasped her hand. From the foyer, Carly witnessed everything. She remained silent. "I simply watched." Later, Jack Brennan joined her as she stood by herself at the Metro Court bar. He extended a drink to her. She accepted it. "Are you all right?" he inquired. Carly's smile fell short of her eyes. Always. But she knew deep down. She hadn't simply lost a fight. Jason was gone. Not to Britt. But to be honest. To be in love. To something outside of Carly's control. And the scariest nightmare of them was that one. General Hospital spoilers, it's quite likely that the 3 shady GH employees will be let go immediately. According to General Hospital spoilers, there are 3 dubious personalities who work at the hospital and engage in unethical and extravagant behavior. Do you agree with our prediction that one or more of these people are on the verge of losing their jobs? These 3 underhanded employees may or may not be deserving of termination. 1. Stella Henry brings a lot of shade to GH. Patient advocate Stella Henry is a fireball who always means well, but sometimes her actions scream louder than words. Stella said anything on the July 10th episode that might have led to her termination. Felicia Jones is prepared and waiting in the wings, after all. In an interview with attorney Martin Gray, Stella recently acknowledged that she worked the system to have his insurance restored. Martin became upset, but Stella told him to remain quiet and wouldn't explain how she did it, claiming that they would end up in trouble. Will she regret her decision? 2. PC Chief of Staff Portia Robinson's deceit. Portia Robinson is tired of being blackmailed by Drew Kane over Heather Weber's test results. Will her involvement in Drew's drugging controversy be revealed soon? Smug Portia believes she has hidden her tracks, but we are here to expose her past of shady activity, and she isn't sorry. What is Portia's backup plan in the event that she loses her medical license? 2. The drama with baby Daisy Gilmore may be the result of Willow Tate's antics. There will be hell to pay if Felicia Scorpio and Lucas Jones discover she was responsible for the hospital's bassinet switcheroo. Spoilers suggest that Weeping Willow may engage in even more harmful behavior after following Daisy to the Quartermaine estate. Willow's issue started when she lost custody of her children and had to be admitted to the hospital to cope with the stress. Does she require additional support before attempting to care for others? Indeed, perhaps. In the confused state she is in, Willow might pose a risk to GH patients. Tell us, GH fans, do you think Willow will be fired for doing something drastic, possibly unintentionally, that hurts a patient? GH spoilers, fans go crazy over Kelly Thibault's return, but who should she play? According to General Hospital spoilers, fans are going crazy over Kelly Thibault's return to the show last week, which was triggered by Jason Morgan's sighting of a very much alive Britt Westbourne in a busy airport scene on July 18th. Since Heather Weber's poisoned hook attack in January 2023, Britt has been presumed dead. Fans are arguing over who Thibault should play in light of Britt's return, whether it be as herself, a twin connected to Caesar Faison, or a new character. Will Britt's comeback redefine her role once more or cause fan reaction in light of Rocco Falconeri's interest in his birth and Brooklyn Quartermaine's personal grudge? The GH fandom is raging, with some enthusiastically applauding Britt's return to her true role. Others advocate for a twin twist. Please, with Thibault's return, Britt might be brought back to life, possibly concealed by Liesl for her safety, and her relationship with Jason or Cody Bell could be reignited. A twin sister, who might be a Faison heir, might cause trouble and potentially have ties to other local villains like Jen Sidwell. On the other hand, a new figure can depart from Britt's legacy, like a doctor with secrets. GH spoilers hint to Britt's effect on Port Charles should Britt make a comeback as herself. Her connections to Rocco's inquiries over his embryo scandal may cause Dante Falconeri and Lulu Spencer to be completely rocked. Lulu believes that Jason Morgan's candor regarding the Britt he knew is currently her biggest issue. She and Dante are unaware that Rocco has already met with Liesl and heard her side of the story. In their views, the worst scenario is that Britt is still alive and might come back to address the boy she named Ben on her behalf. A new character or twin could add interest, but it wouldn't be nearly as compelling as her having to deal with the people she left behind. Jason's relationship with Carly Spencer may change if his sighting results in a reunion. Will Thibault's portrayal respect Britt's history or run the risk of upsetting fans with a significant change? Port Charles awaits a shakeup regardless of the role she plays. Thibault's homecoming is certain to rock lives. A face like that is sure to make people nervous and get the entire town talking. What are your thoughts on Thibault's comeback? Do you want her to completely upend everyone's life, especially Rocco's? Could the mutual sorrow that Dante and Lulu would experience as a result of Britt's return bring them closer as we've hoped? Do you want the Bridge concentrating on his son and getting back together with the Quartermaines, or do you want to see him with Jason again? The quiet at Port Charles is never really quiet, rather, it's the stillness before a storm. The name of Professor Henry Hank Dalton was still reverberating through the halls of power and conspiracy as the week came to a close. What started out as rumors about his experimental work was now growing into something more significant and hazardous. Amidst the twisted web of lies and silence, there was a name nobody anticipated hearing again: Britt Westbourne. Jason Morgan reviewed a brief report from Spinelli while standing close to the Corinthos warehouse. There were only travel traces and a faint indication of a re-entry into the country from an unidentified location on the printout. However, Jason was mortified by the final name that was mentioned: Britt. It seemed like a ghost tracing its fingers across his back for the first time in months that he had seen her name. At first, he hadn't trusted the rumors. Who would? It was assumed that Britt Westbourne had died. On July 18th, she was reportedly landing at Port Charles. Jack Brennan, meantime, had more pressing issues. He pointed out important delivery routes and digital blind spots on a city map while standing in the Immaculate Quartermaine Foundation offices. Jocelyn Jack stood a few feet away, her arms folded, taking in every word, while Vaughn sat across from him, his face impassive. Brennan reiterated, "The courier is physically strong. No digital trace, no surveillance hits, no signal bounce. This individual is skilled." Exactly. "And you believe that this courier is connected to Dalton's laboratory?" Jocelyn inquired. "I don't believe," Brennan said bluntly. "I understand. Dalton no longer uses an encrypted channel to communicate updates. He's afraid. Someone reached him. This indicates that this courier is trusted and not merely a runner." Vaughn finally said something. Brennan hesitated and said, "You believe Britt Westbourne is the runner?" "Let's just say. The timing is intriguing." Professor Dalton sat quietly as Jen Sidwell shut the door behind them, deep within the shadows of PCU's biomedical wing on the other side of town. Tension made the air rigid. Sidwell yelled, "I told you we needed results." Dalton slowly raised his head. "They're on their way." "Not quickly enough." Dalton didn't need to inquire as to who he was because he was already observing. Unknown, unheard, and perhaps even more frightening than Sidwell himself was the investor. The man funding Dalton's covert study, which, if unchecked, may murder hundreds of people or transcend biological bounds. Dalton's tone faltered. "The courier is on his way." "They had better," Sidwell snarled. "Or you're the experiment." He then disappeared down the corridor. Spinelli's program, meanwhile, sprung to life. As the update appeared on the screen, Jason leaned forward to read it. Alert for arrival, July 18th. Westbourne, Britt. Port Charles International is the destination. Jason froze his fingers on the keyboard. He wasn't prepared when she said, "She's really coming back." If Britt was back, it wasn't for a social call, but he had no idea where she had been or what secrets her absence had concealed. Particularly not right now. Not when the Dalton situation is escalating like a reactor that has been overloaded. Carly and Lulu, meanwhile, were each in their own ways circling the edge of the Dalton issue. Brooklyn had informed Lulu that Rocco's name had inadvertently turned up in an old hospital file connected to Dalton's previous research grants. She went into mama bear mode just after hearing the news. However, the gloves fell off when Carly informed her of Brennan's most recent intelligence and Britt's probable involvement. As Lulu paced Carly's kitchen, she whispered, "She's the messenger. I don't care what she's carrying, notes, samples, data, whatever. She is involved." Carly stated bluntly, "She is dangerous. And she's back." Since Britt vanished, Jason hadn't seen her. He hadn't properly mourned her, felt her hand, or heard her voice. She was alive now, flying in, perhaps with secrets that could blow everything up in her face. It was a gloomy morning on July 18th. a figure strode through the mist at the far side of Gate 3, shoulders back, dark coat fluttering, a harsh glitter in her eyes, while rain pounded the tarmac as planes descended. Brit. She no longer wore the same level of warmth. Brit was colder and more purposeful now. Unnoticed by the crowd, she blended in until she was scooped up by a black town vehicle and driven off into the city center. Jason observed everything from the adjoining parking garage's roof. His heart tightened the instant she came out of the terminal. She was still living. He hadn't even heard from her. He got into his SUV and went after it. Brit didn't go to the hospital or any other known Port Charles address. Jason already assumed that Dalton was using the long-abandoned warehouse near the edge of Route 9 for his data transfers, so she headed for the outskirts. Through a side entrance, he watched her come in. Minutes went by. Not a move. Then a skinny, wiry person with a briefcase came on the fire escape above. Dalton. Jason had had enough. Without waiting for assistance, he moved in. It was quiet in the room by the time he got to the second floor. With the case on the table in front of her, unopened, Brit stood facing away from him. "You no longer knock, without turning," she said. "You no longer die," Jason answered. Slowly, she turned. An entire 1,000 words were omitted. He desired to embrace her. He desired to shake her. He was curious as to why she had given the impression that she was no longer there. Why, he inquired. She took the briefcase open. There were samples, vials, and folders within. She shoved it in his direction. She remarked, "I didn't come back for you." "Dalton?" "I came to stop him." She gave a nod. "You have no idea what he's doing." "Nobody does." "Not at all." "Jason, these are human trials." "Not allowed." "Uncontrolled." "He is out of control." And it's not just some irate intellectual who is supporting him this time. He has connections to both governments and mercenary. He's keeping an eye on everything. "Why you?" Brit's mouth clenched. "Because I had a hand in starting it." "Unaware." "Not entirely. But Dalton exploited my credentials, my studies, my name. That's why I disappeared. I needed time to go back in time." Jason gazed at the case and said, "I need you now." "So what is this?" "Salvation?" She looked him in the eyes. He wasn't sure if he believed her when she said, "This is survival." However, he was aware that the game had altered. By the end of the week, Port Charles would have to deal with a danger that was based on science, secrecy, and treachery, something it hadn't seen in years. Brit Westbourne, who was no longer a villain or a ghost, was in the middle of it all. However, something halfway. Something hazardous. Something essential. Something incomplete. What about Jason? He wasn't sure if his purpose was to save her or to stop her. General Hospital spoilers, Curtis says something that permanently alters his and Nina's friendship? Curtis Ashford might be the one to reveal the secret that permanently alters his and Nina Reeves' friendship, according to General Hospital spoilers and updates. Curtis said that occasionally people must betray friends, implying, for the greater good, in a recent chat they had. Curtis is fighting Drew on several fronts. Curtis is battling Drew Kane on a number of fronts, including attempting to defend Portia Robinson and assist Michael Corinthos. Everyone agrees that Drew has changed from the brave guy and devoted father he was before being thought to be dead for a number of years. In Willow Tate's case at least, this Drew is a Svengali, a manipulator, and a liar. It appears that Willow is completely controlled by Drew, and he doesn't seem to care how much he has ruined her life or her marriage to Michael. Although it's true that it takes two to tangle, Willow appears to have been captivated. Nina needs as many allies and weapons against Drew as she can get. Although that was resolved relatively quickly, the one thing Nina hasn't done that could turn Willow against Drew could cost her Willow as well. It was more a case of enemies with advantages than any type of love affair. And in fact it started off as hate sex mostly in one or the other's office. Even if Willow was then married to Michael, the brief overlap between Drew's pursuit of Willow and the flirtation with Drew might prove deadly. It may have begun as an unavoidable flirtation for Willow, but it was clearly an obsessive pursuit for Drew. The more Nina considers it, the more she sees that Willow and Drew are equally fixated with one another, with Drew's obsession being tempered by rivalry with Michael. What kind of bomb is that? Returning to Curtis and the bomb he could deliver, which would permanently alter his friendship with Nina and potentially cost her daughter, or, perhaps not, perhaps she would simply dump Drew. Michael getting sole custody of Wiley and Amelia Corinthos is the reason Willow and Drew are acting so hastily. Even though Nina doesn't want her daughter to wed the evil Drew, she is frantically organizing a lavish wedding for her at the end of the week. Now that Liesl Albrecht is returned, Nina has another weapon at her disposal, but the bomb Curtis might deliver might be far more potent. In addition to potentially persuading Willow of Drew's snake-like behavior, it might also persuade his constituents. Will Curtis reveal that Drew is betraying her mother as a daughter? Curtis Ashford might be the one to reveal the secret that permanently alters his and Nina Reeves' friendship, according to General Hospital spoilers and updates. Curtis said that occasionally people must betray friends, implying, for the greater good, in a recent chat they had. Curtis is fighting Drew on several fronts. Curtis is battling Drew Kane on a number of fronts, including attempting to defend Portia Robinson and assist Michael Corinthos. Everyone agrees that Drew has changed from the brave guy and devoted father he was before being thought to be dead for a number of years. In Willow Tate's case at least, this Drew is a Svengali, a manipulator, and a liar. It appears that Willow is completely controlled by Drew, and he doesn't seem to care how much he has ruined her life or her marriage to Michael. Although it's true that it takes two to tangle, Willow appears to have been captivated. Nina needs as many allies and weapons against Drew as she can get. Although that was resolved relatively quickly, the one thing Nina hasn't done that could turn Willow against Drew could cost her Willow as well. It was more a case of enemies with advantages than any type of love affair, and in fact it started off as hate sex mostly in one or the other's office. Even if Willow was then married to Michael, the brief overlap between Drew's pursuit of Willow and the flirtation with Drew might prove deadly. It may have begun as an unavoidable flirtation for Willow, but it was clearly an obsessive pursuit for Drew. The more Nina considers it, the more she sees that Willow and Drew are equally fixated with one another, with Drew's obsession being tempered by rivalry with Michael. What kind of bomb is that? Returning to Curtis and the bomb he could deliver, which would permanently alter his friendship with Nina and potentially cost her daughter, or, perhaps not, perhaps she would simply dump Drew. Michael getting sole custody of Wiley and Amelia Corinthos is the reason Willow and Drew are acting so hastily. Even though Nina doesn't want her daughter to wed the evil Drew, she is frantically organizing a lavish wedding for her at the end of the week. Now that Liesl Albrecht is returned, Nina has another weapon at her disposal, but the bomb Curtis might deliver might be far more potent. In addition to potentially persuading Willow of Drew's snake-like behavior, it might also persuade his constituents. Will Curtis reveal that Drew is betraying her mother as a daughter? Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.